we realized that brand recognition, product appeal, and sustainability are the main three things that we focus when buying these kind of products. Forest Essential offer them all through its strong brand recognition in India, its colorful and meaningful packaging, and its ethical productions. Another thing that caught our attention about this case is that there was a part that Betty Kulkarni, the executive manager of Mountain Valley Spring, mentioned that he believed that they have $1 billion company in their hands. And our team believes so too. Now, Forest Essential combines the ancient beauty rituals of Ayurveda with a stylish modern aesthetic emphasizing efficacy, sensorial experience, and pleasure of usage. But now the big question is, should Kulkarni focus Forest Essential on the existing and future customers in India, or if they should shift and move to promoting the branding into international markets and customers? After analyzing the case, we want to focus today on how Forest Essential can keep domaining the market of domestic luxury Ayurveda in India. My name is Gabby, and this is my amazing team, and today we are sure that our presentation will allow Forest Essential to map out a plan that will be into the future success of the company. So talking a little bit about what is Forest Essential. Forest Essential is an Indian cosmetic, perfumes, and self-care company with more than 110 stores in 28 cities in India. They also have a revenue of $30.4 million every year, and they partnership with more than 400 hotels and spas across South Asia. Something interesting is that they also have a philosophy that if you cannot eat it, not use it in your skin. And the corporate social responsibility of this company is also the cornerstone of the successful of Forest Essential. Now talking a little bit about the core competencies. As you can see in the screen, sensory pleasure, purity, and ethical production are the main core competencies of this company. And these are key factors of differentiation, especially in the beauty and care industry, because these core values allow them to create trust and loyalty with their customers. But however, after analyzing the case, we realized that this company also has some challenges. And the first one is changing customer trends, the second one, growing competition, and the market saturation. In growing competition, a lot of new international makeup brands are also using Ayurveda as part of their branding and their products. But now, I'll give the word to Luke, who will talk a little bit about the solutions that we have for you.
All right, thank you, Gabby. So our team came up with 3 different brand strategies that will allow Forest Essential to overcome these challenges just said by Gabby. The first one is brand diversification. We recommend Forest Essential forms partnerships with other companies throughout India in order to expand their portfolio and connect with new consumers. Next is evolving the personalization of the brand and the company, forming long-lasting relationships with consumers in order to build loyalty and a sense of exclusivity. Finally, sustainability is already one of the cornerstones of Force Essential, but we recommend they reach to become a role model within the industry in order to adapt to the ever-changing demands of Indian consumers. Next, I'll be talking about what makes the Indian market so attractive for Force Essential to continue operating within. If you look at the top line, that represents the luxury Ayurveda market within India. This year, the market hit over $197 million in sales. By 2027, that'll be over $350 million. Force Essential is already a leader in this market, but they have the opportunity to continue expanding their market share if they follow through with our solutions listed, such as promoting their sustainability agenda and diversifying their portfolio. The next 2 lines represent the rapid growth of wealth that is currently occurring in India. This rise is due to industrialization and urbanization and will create more market centers throughout India as the disposable income of the average Indian is increasing. Finally, this year India became the most populous country on earth, with a population of over 1.43 billion people. By 2027, there'll be over 1.48 billion. This is an increase in over 50 million Indians within the next 4 years. That's higher than the population of California. Next, we'll observe the macro environment of India through the pestle model. One of the most interesting aspects of the social dynamic in India is that India is a very collectivistic nation. The people take great pride in the diversity of tradition and culture found throughout the country. This is an aspect that First Essential has already cornered, as their brand is built around a twist of, or a blend of modern Indian culture and traditional Ayurvedic culture. Another interesting aspect is the technological dynamic within India. India is currently the second largest online market in the world, right behind China. This leaves room for future growth for First Essential's e-commerce platform. Next, I'll hand it over to Emma, and she'll be observing the different routes available for First Essential regarding partnerships and promotions.
Thank you, Luke. Yes, as you mentioned, I will be discussing partnerships and promotions. We have selected a handful of brands that really align well with Forest Essential's mission, vision, value, and history. So to begin, we wanted to partner with Under the Mango Tree. Under the Mango Tree was founded in 2009, and they are part of the beekeeping and honey industry, and they are located in tribal areas of India. Some highlights of their brand alignment with Forest Essentials are their sustainable beekeeping practices, as well as their empowerment of rural communities through the UTMT Foundation. For this actual promotion line, we suggest the Essentially Honey line, which would be a lotion line made with 100% Under the Mango Tree honey. As honey has many medicinal properties, this would be used in face lotion as well as body lotion, and it pays homage to the founding of this company, as the very first products that the founder created were soaps made from honey. Next is the Makaibari estate, which was founded way back in 1859. It is in the tea cultivation industry, and it is located in the Darjeeling district of India. Some highlights for this brand alignment are, of course, its natural and authentic ingredients, but as a company with a long-standing history, they pride themselves on their heritage and upholding traditional Indian tea cultivation practices. So for this product line, we would launch the Tea Party Skincare Collection, which would be essential oils, face serums, and face masks that utilize Makaibari Tea Estate's very own tea leaves, and as tea is a natural source of caffeine, it can be utilized in anti-aging and brightening properties. And lastly, for partnerships is Tamrapatra. They were founded in 2007, and they create handmade gifts. They are in northern India, and some highlights for them are their handcrafted artisanship, as everything is made by hand, and they practice indigenous and traditional design work in their gifts. For this product line, we would utilize the Forest Essentials gift sets, so slightly different than our other two. We would choose the Ritual of Wellness set and pair it with Tamrapatra's very own handmade tray, which, as you can see here, utilizes pressed petals and traditional Indian design work. Lastly, and my most favorite, is our Build Your Own line. This really highlights that exclusivity and luxury ideals of Forest Essentials. This is a mock-up of the website for the Build Your Own, where you design your very own personalized packaging. It would be 3 simple steps where you pick your product, add your personalization, and place your order. Some personalization aspects would be adding a name, adding a message, picking a color or a theme, and then selecting special gift wrap. As you can see, we did a mock-up here of a happy birthday carry, which is in bright yellow. All right, so with that, I will pass it off to Alex, who will discuss implementing all of these solutions.
Thank you, Emma. Now, trust me, I can't wait to talk a little more about these personalized products. But first, I want to cover a few other things. First, I want to talk about brand diversification. We're well familiar with Forest Essentials' wide variety of products, ranging from face creams to essential oils. But they have yet to invest into the complementary product sector. We believe that by opening their doors to investing in new complementary products, they can reach a larger market share. Next, we have personalization. As Anna said, we want to open our doors to engage with consumers, interacting with them, and creating some level of premium exclusivity. Because I guarantee you, there's no other luxury brand out there that allows some interaction, to have a name on a bottle, or to change the packaging. Next, we have sustainability. We're well familiar with Forest Essentials' goal to give back to the earth whatever it takes from it. And we strongly believe this is something that should market more, especially to young consumers like me, because I'm very concerned with topics like sustainability. And I'm also well familiar that 35% of India's population is Gen Z, which are also very receptive to sustainable topics. Moving on, we have a projected timeline over the course of 8 years, and we have 4 phases with pretty cool names, actually. We have phase 1, which is Green Horizons, and this is really touching the sustainability aspect. This is really increasing sourcing from organic and eco-friendly ingredients and reinforcing their commitment to eco-conscious operations, which is essential in this growing market. Phase 2 is the tailored touch. This is really just the personalization aspect of it, investing in technology data analytics, creating personalized recommendations, and allowing for consumers to engage with the product itself. Phase 3 is product realm expansion. This is where we really open the door to investing in products that help increase the value of the luxury oils and creams, like brushes, face rollers, and diffusers that can further go along with it. Phase 4 is global eco guardianship. Now, this really ties back to phase 1, but it really reinforces it because we really want to have Forest Essentials as a premium brand, setting a benchmark in the industry of sustainability and self-care. Next, we have a revenue forecast for the next 8 years, and similar line with that. We have the timeline to take until 2031 to complete, and by 2031, we expect that the luxury Ayurveda market will be valued at $655 million. That's a lot of money, but that just really goes to show how valuable this market is. It is such a receptive factor because people are open to sustainability and strict traditional things that incorporate these ideas. Now, by that time, we hope to increase Forest Essentials market share from 25% to 38%. This is mainly due to their opening the doors of the complementary products, investing in those hairbrushes to get people to use the creams, wipes, towels, really better with these products, really capturing that market share. Finally, Forest Essentials revenue will be around $250 million. Next, I want to talk about future expansion, but just a quick note here, this is after the 8 years I just explained. We want to look a little more internationally. We have 3 countries on here. We have the United Arab Emirates, the United States, and Singapore. Now, these are very large countries, but you may wonder why these fancy hotels are right here. As much as I want to be there right now, it mainly goes to show that there are many, many luxury hotels, and I'm well familiar that Forest Essentials uses these hotels to introduce their products and so forth. Now, a couple I want to point out here, my personal favorites really are the Burj Al Arab in Dubai and the Marina by the Sands in Singapore. These are especially valuable because of these reasons. So if you look at the revenue of the personal care market, they are very, very large markets. And if you look at the United States, it's $97 billion in this personal care market. Investing in going international could be a very, very beneficial thing for Forest Essentials. Now, moving on to the risk consideration, kind of cautionary tale of this. We're going to talk about market saturation in a little more detail, but first I want to introduce the increased competition and dependency on local suppliers issues that could come up. But to really put pressure on this, I want to talk about the market saturation in great detail. But market saturation can come from opening the doors to many different products. There's going to be a lot of competitors in this market, especially international, that are going to compete on the basis of price and availability. But Forest Essentials should continue to focus on keeping their high brand luxury premium in the minds of consumers. And this is mainly because we're only targeting a very niche market, and we want to continue to deliver that value to them. But alongside this, I really want to touch on the continuous innovation aspect, and that's really tying back to the diversification portion, because innovating allows us to stay ahead of the curve of these changing consumer trends and market fluctuations, and that really helps prevent market saturation in the long run. In conclusion, Forest Essentials focus on personalization, brand diversity, and sustainability in any market sets them apart. These strategies align with evolving trends, forging a path to continued success and leadership in the Indian cosmetics market. Thank you.
So we have 10 minutes for judges' Q&A and feedback.
Who's your target customer? Who's going to be purchasing this in India?
Yep, so that's the rising middle class in India. It's a burgeoning market right now. Hundreds of millions of people being pulled out of growth, as I said, due to the industrialization and urbanization. There are specific regions found in India with more wealth than others. That's specifically the southern end of India. Mumbai is the richest city in India. And then also up north in New Delhi, the capital of India, is also wealthy. So we're focusing on these urbanizing areas that wealth has already been found is rapidly increasing.
So sort of the middle-aged, net new customers.
And hopefully some, the younger generations, they're the most educated. In any country, like Gen Z is the most educated generation that has been. And so they have more opportunities regarding services and reaching a higher disposable income. So also forming that relationship with consumers while they're younger, so they stay brand loyal, they can continue to purchase from the company in the future.
When you chose your partner brands to launch the products of the partner brands, What, what market share and what brand awareness is strong with the other market brands as far as choosing those, and also maybe in the number 2 in e-commerce and sales, were those brands that you chose, the partner brands, strong in e-commerce sales also in resorts?
Yeah, so for the brands that we choose, we wanted ones that aligned very strongly with Forest Essentials. So I think the honey is available at Walmart online, and they all have online marketing. So they have their e-commerce established, and they also have, again, that mission, vision, and value. So they are historically established in India, so they have that same history and those same ties, which is something we really wanted to highlight. But just upholding that traditional, as India uses Ayurveda practices, we really wanted to focus on just building that strong Indian identity. So that was one thing that we chose, and then for their market shares, they were all very strong. We wanted to focus on slightly smaller, so no big, really well-known names. We wanted to focus on those smaller targets it's more mutually beneficial to both brands if they both get something out of it. We didn't want a large brand because what do they need to partner with Forest Essentials for? Whereas something that might be a little less known, have a slightly smaller market share, would be more adept to partnering with Forest Essentials, as I believe Forest Essentials was larger in almost all of the brand partnerships.
And how about their retail price? Were they at the high end versus?
Yes, we
same
wanted to
apples to
stick with
apples?
that luxury high-end prices. I do think the honey was a little bit on the more affordable side, but the handmade gifts was that more peak, as everything again was handmade and utilizing indigenous practices. But it was all in that luxury, exclusive kind of market, just again to really see eye to eye on all of those target markets.
One of the things you talked about was personalization. Well, I should say, you showed your plot over years. Why not bring the brand diversification earlier? Because that's just your logo on another product instead of doing the personalization first, which usually requires more supply chain, manufacturing, new website, a lot more cost. Just curious why you were thinking that later.
So our reason behind spacing things out is to really give it some time to settle and solidify itself in terms of strategy. So as I mentioned, sustainability is a big one for Forest Essentials. We want to make sure that that one is locked down and not pushed out of the way if we introduce the personalization and diversification aspects. So just making sure that's established before we introduce those products is very important. So personalization, I think it's important to introduce a little later, because once that sustainability market is reached, the Gen Zers, the 35% of the population, will be much more interested in customizing these products to give it to their mother, their father, their wedding gift. And it's just really building that relationship in the long run and having them engage with it later on, if that answers your question.
On the 8-year plan and competition on the competition for the same high luxury, high-end product, where do you see the competitors as far as competition is great, but where do you see the competitors as they're following the brand to shorten that implementation on the competition side? I guess my question is, where did you come up with the 8 years versus 6 years or 5 years as far as that? And also, I think you can explain the sustainability on two phases of the sustainability. But my question is, on the 8 years to get market share of 38%. And that's primarily through e-commerce and luxury hotels, correct? Or and then the three international.
Mm-hmm. So we were just being very generous with the timeline. It'd be amazing if Forest Essentials could time shut those, complete those stages earlier. But some of them, like the expanding portfolio, takes research and development to go into different products, especially if they're being used on skin or just being, as I said, if you can't eat it, then don't use it. So making sure that they're healthy to use in the long run, doing the research, and also building up the relationships with the partners that we hope to use in the future. But if we could cut down on how long it takes to solidify our supply chains with ethical sourcing, that'd be amazing.
What's the average price point for this?
Yep, so they range, like regarding the products. Okay. So they go from $10, $15 to $50+ which may seem more affordable to us, but the average Indian has a much lower wage or salary in the long run. And so India is considered a luxury product. But they have some products infused with gold that definitely go on the higher end. So they have a wide range, but they focus on colorful packaging, making sure that it's known that they're sustainable and ethical, because that's a priority. That's how they differentiate themselves from the competitors.
And do you think the price point is at a point where Gen Z and middle class would be willing to purchase it? And then how many, what's the lifetime value do you think that customer is?
I would definitely say it's at a price point that Gen Z can afford. We were actually researching about this generation, and there's a whole segment that they're just now accessing higher salaries than it was traditionally possible in India, and they're ready to spend that money on something. And so having it stand out as meeting their need as being sustainable and also tying into traditional Indian Iberian culture was important to us. Over the lifetime, could I have the second part of the question?
The lifetime value, so how many times are they going to be a customer that's purchasing the products? And is it weekly, is it once a year, is it
So
5 years?
They actually, First Essentials already has a loyalty program, and so it's promoted that they're going back to spend to increase their points to get more discounts or access to products that haven't been released yet. So you think like a lotion, maybe it takes a month or two to go through. And so we're seeing customers come back multiple times a year in order to restock products that they enjoy using and they ethically support.
Alright, to add on to it real quick, so the personalization aspect is also important. As I mentioned, we're much more receptive to having things like customized. If I see my name on a bottle, I'm going to continue to look at that brand and say, because no other product offers that exclusivity. So that's going to have a relationship in my mind for the long run.
I guess my side's on the marketing side. Gen Z, e-commerce, what's the strategy? Like I know a lot of influencers are key, especially on high end as far as loyalty, sustainability, quality, and so forth. So what was your thinking as far as that and tying into the growth, sales growth?
Yes, absolutely. So there was a moment where we were playing around with what we were going to pitch to you all today, but one of the things that I did look at was influencer marketing because it is such a strong piece with the younger market. For us, it would be primarily Indian influencers, so just really reaching and withholding that connection and relationship with the young Indian generation. It is absolutely something that I would love to see implemented through Forest Essentials. However, there was just more lucrative options with the partnerships where it was, they have those contracts and it's a little bit more well established of an ideal, whereas influencer marketing is so new and so trendy and ever changing. But it is absolutely something as these partnerships would be, created and established, it would be amazing to attach an influencer to promote those launches as they are coming up. But it is also something that again, is so new and is ever changing with the trend market and hashtags and how many, who is in and who is out. So it was something that we didn't want to pitch because it did have a little bit of a less sturdy foundation as a partnership. However, as these partnerships are launched, it would be amazing to attach an influencer, especially of Indian descent. Is that time?
Yeah.
Thank you for feedback.
Yeah.
General, beautiful presentation. I love the structure, how you guys kind of laid out the problems. Going over the context and the basics are always important. I like the flow. I think my highest level comments would be less is more. It seems like you're trying to please everybody, say that we'll go do all the strategies. I would have loved to just hear more about India. And rather than go into the expansion of the hotels and the global, tell me more about the person in need that you're targeting. Where are they buying? What price point? What products? It could be the low end products. You might design something special for them. I would have loved more detail there. And then it also just shows more of your business acumen. You could go and show some of that through a Samsung as well. Do a tan Samsung. Some of those kind of who, what, when, where factor into that. The other thing I think is, I definitely didn't realize this when I was in undergrad and only came to understand it when I was more in business, but nuance is so important. So you talk about Gen Z, but like you haven't shown me that you really know how they purchase and how that's gonna impact your business. Because right now, it's like the 60-year-olds that are buying this product. And so you haven't even told me that you know about them. And like, what's this gonna do about targeting Gen Z versus an older population, and how is this branding strategy going to really like make them want to purchase it more, these Gen Zs more? So it's more of, show me the nuance too. You guys talk about some of it, but I think that's the hardest thing to learn until you're like actually in it. You realize like, oh, I guess an example for me is I was in the print industry and everybody was like, oh, like social media, like everybody's doing social media. But I was selling $1 million web presses to old men who have had this generation in their family. They prefer print and they prefer a salesman because they're making $1 million deals. So while those tactics and all the shiny business tactics are great, they don't always work for the customer that you're serving. And so I would love to have more of that. But otherwise, within 24 hours, this was, yeah, great job, you guys. You should be proud of yourselves. I love the name Granada too.
I thought the presentation was just like the product. It was wow. I mean, it just came off the screen. So again, maybe a little fast, a little busy because there was so much information, but it was exciting because it was the way of the future's about as far as sustainability, as far as we came, before COVID and through COVID, after COVID, and it was a product that was succeeding. I think like at 18% before COVID, and after COVID it went to like 70%. During COVID and then after COVID, it was like a 30%. So definitely a fun project, fun product. I like the gift package. I think that's a lot of the cosmetic consumer or perfumes. They're going towards that, and with gift packages and samples, little tiny vials of samples. And e-commerce wise, it doesn't weigh that much, and so the shipping and logistics is there. It's always established. One thing I was thinking too is thinking outside the box as well as the countries that we chose. You might want to look at Toronto, Canada, just the Toronto amount of the Indian population that is in Toronto, and they have many. So that was one. Another like market that probably could get more demographics on here in North America. But I would say also if you had a slide with the retail prices, so we kind of see what price points, and then maybe some of the luxury, like the Four Seasons and what they said in the cases of the resorts, maybe some of those SKUs, some of those presentations that they sold there and price points there, just to show the level, the good, better, best scenario of the product. And then one thing that he said is Walmart, so that like brought it go. So I was like, that would be, you keep it up at
That's
That
funny
was
you
like
mentioned that, because I totally said that when I saw it. I was like, they're at Walmart.
And so,
Yeah.
but as customers, as consumers, they're loyal and they pay for that. They pay for what you presented as far as in the product, the sustainability, the natural, the quality of even the packaging, and they're paying for that packaging, even if it is biodegradable. Throw that into the sustainability, the packaging aspect. No, I mean, it flowed well. You guys started, it flowed well. It's tough, to do it in a 24-hour turnaround, but there was so many different ways you could take it out. So, but no, it was great. Thanks. I learned stuff, just, different stuff from reading the case study. Great job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Always hard to be the first ones to, so
Yeah.
bravo.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your feedback.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Great presentation, guys.
We'll chat with you after. Okay, sounds good.